Hi there, this is the second part of a two-part series on Chapter 1. Let's jump in. So our learning objectives for today, we're going to cover three different things. The first is we're going to define a marketing-oriented firm. In your textbook, there are different orientations of the firm that are talked about. However, our focus is going to be on the marketing-oriented firm. Next, we're going to identify the roles of marketing research for strategic marketing. And this kind of goes hand in hand with some of the things that we've already talked about, like the questions, key marketing research questions. However, I'm going to dig in a little bit deeper. And then finally, we're going to list when not to do marketing research. And there's four key ways or four key reasons why you may not do marketing research. So let's get started. So for marketing research and strategic management orientation, our focus, because most of us in here are going to be marketing majors, and even if you're not, a marketing orientation is really the most important orientation that a firm can have. And the whole point of this is that as a firm, we would want to adopt the marketing concept, and that is how a firm is providing value to our customers. And that's beyond just offering them a product or a service or the overall production process. It goes into much greater detail, and it's really establishes the relationship that you're going to build with your customers over time. And that's not going to be developed just by making a good product. It takes a lot of more work than making that product or service. So a marketing oriented firm, whenever we're thinking about this and marketing research, a marketing oriented firm acquires, analyzes, disseminates, and responds to different information. And the thing is, marketing research goes hand in hand with a marketing oriented firm because usually marketing research is going to be the one that goes out and acquires the information. They're the ones that are going to analyze that information, and then hopefully, if the firm is truly marketing oriented, they would disseminate that information to all areas within the firm. So HR is going to be marketing oriented, as well as our production process. Everyone within the firm is going to be able to get that information. And then as that information comes in, the top management is going to be able to provide direction to the rest of the organization based on that information. So some information is the latent and expressed wants and needs of customers. So we may have the express needs based off of what customers are telling us, maybe in their customer satisfaction surveys. However, there are some latent needs, which means needs that really aren't expressed in words, but we can figure that out through different types of data. So what customers are purchasing. And we would want to really try to get an understanding not only of our current customers, but of course we would like to understand what our future customers may want, and that's trying to anticipate their demand and anticipate their wants and needs for the future. We would also want to look at our competitors. We've talked about that a little bit as well, and different channel requirements and abilities. So whenever we think about channels of distribution, from the start of acquiring our material goods to actually getting the product or service into the hands of the final customer. So we would need to understand these different channel requirements and the abilities of our different channel partners. And then finally, the broader business environment. So different government regulations might be important to know if there's different legislation that's coming out, like currently right now, the big tech companies are worrying about antitrust legislation. So all of these things are really important, and as we collect more and more information, the organization is better able to respond to the information because they're a more informed organization. So there are four key ways that marketing research ties into strategic marketing management. And the first goes back to our American Marketing Association definition of marketing research. And this is why it's so important. Identifying and evaluating market opportunities. Definitely we want to know our opportunities and we would want to know our threats. And that allows us to be able to have more informed decision making. And marketing research, if done properly, will be collecting data and information about the external environment and our internal customers to be able to identify different opportunities that will be available to the firm. Next, analyzing market segments and selecting target markets. Selecting target markets is definitely a great thing that marketing research plays into, because marketing research is going to have the data to be able to make a decision on selecting those target markets. And then we would be able to analyze different market segments because we have data on different demographics, we have different data on maybe different locations. So different market segments are going to be analyzed based off the marketing research that is collected. Next, planning and implementing a marketing mix. Now, a key question that I have for you is, what are the 4 P's of the marketing mix? And I'll give you about 5 seconds to answer this. Think about it. So the 4 P's of the marketing mix consists of product, price, place, and promotions. Now, marketing research is going to play a key role in each of these areas. As I've already mentioned before in our previous video, price is one of the ways that we can do research and marketing research. We can also look at products, whether we want to introduce new products or improve our current existing product line. And we've talked about different promotions. Now, I have included a video on place research and how to collect traffic counter data and how that is important whenever we are actually looking to implement a physical location for a retail site. And getting traffic data is really important because we would want to know how many customers or potential customers we may have for a given area. And finally, with marketing research, we would want to be able to analyze firm performance in comparison to a lot of the different data that we are collecting. So doing different sales forecasting and return on investment on our different marketing mix research, especially our promotions, is pretty important. So being able to analyze firm performance in relation to these different marketing research opportunities is really a key thing for us to be able to show how different marketing aspects are performing for our firm. So the last part of our video is going to cover different aspects of Chapter 1 in a little bit more detail. The first being Stage 2, analyzing and selecting target markets. I want you to have a stronger understanding of geodemography. Geodemography is the study of population characteristics which are divided on a geographical basis, and these have 3 key components: demography, geography, and sociology. Demography is the study of the population, and demographics, which are really important and associated with demography, is how we can break up the population into different aspects. So we think about gender, age, income. We can also think about literacy rates and other human factors. So different languages that might be spoken in the United States. We can also think of ethnicity. There's many different ways that we can break up our demography. The next is geography. And this has to do with location. So we think about this in terms of location and space. So we have cities, we have towns, we have counties, and then we have much larger areas, so it may be broken down into like West Texas, for example, or Central Texas. And then we have much larger areas, which would be states. And we can think about geography in terms of those aspects. Finally, sociology has to do with the study of society, the patterns of social relationships, social interaction, and the culture of everyday life. So if, as an example, we can think about the United States in comparison to China in terms of our culture. The United States has a much more individualistic society, whereas China has a more collectivist society. Next, I want you to understand that geography is really not that much of a limitation today. Geography isn't a limitation because there's many ways that we can get our product out across the world. We can have digital products or services that can be available to anybody in real time. And then with e-commerce, we can ship any product across the world very easily today. However, it is important when determining how to market a product or service. We need to know geography and geodemography for how to market a product or service. And why might that be? What specific information might be important? Well, we're going to look at a very specific example, and that is going to be through Facebook in a minute. But I'm first going to show you how geodemographic segmentation could be used. And this is from The Economist, where data was collected on London residents. And this is a very nice visual for us to see how geodemography can be implemented in real life. So The Economist broke down London by different aspects of individuals in London. And so the first yellow is they have old people in these different areas in town, and this is based off of where they live. So rail commuters live in, they're surrounding the downtown of London, and they also broke it down into where foreigners live, where the wealthy bosses live. Of course, you can see that there's some overlap in certain areas, but this would be really important for us whenever we're trying to target different segments in the marketplace. And so if we have a great idea of our geodemographics, then we can target, say for instance, we have a family product, we may want to target families with children. Or we're a toy company, we definitely would want to target those families with children. Or we may have a more inexpensive product that we may want to target those living in cheaper housing. So there's many different reasons why we would want to focus on different geodemographic segments. And one of the things that we could use is Facebook for our promotions. And this goes into our marketing example that I was asking you about on slide 5. So with Facebook, we can target by location, and this can go as simple to a zip code or a city, a town, many different ways that we could use this. If you think about the zip or postcode, that may have been valuable by looking at the geodemographic segmentation of London. We can also target by age, gender, language, and then we could do more detailed targeting. So we could target based off their interest or behaviors, whether they like yoga, for example. If we're a yoga studio and we want to try to bring in locals, we could target those who already like yoga or who have an interest in yoga. And then finally, you can target people based off connections. So whether they have connections to your pages, if you have an app, or if they've gone to one of your events in the past. So this is a really clear-cut example of why geodemographics is so important in being able to identify those market segments for your promotions. So next we're going to talk about when not to do marketing research. And there's 4 key reasons why you would not want to do marketing research. The first is if you don't know what information you need, then you probably shouldn't do marketing research because you're just going to be going about marketing research blindly. So you need to determine what information you need before you get started on marketing research. Next, if your cost exceeds the value of doing the research. And sometimes the cost may exceed the value because whether it's in terms of time or whether it's in terms of money, it's really important to assess the costs that go into it. If our decision is not of considerably strategic or tactical importance, then we may not want to do marketing research because we have to always be mindful that all of the research that we're conducting in marketing research is going towards making an informed strategic decision for the firm. So if we can make the firm more profitable, more successful, increase our customer loyalty, increase our relationships with our customers, however we can add value to the firm, that's what marketing research is really trying to do. And then finally, if the firm already has the relevant data, then we really don't need to conduct marketing research because it's already there and available for us. And then if the data cannot be obtained, if it's physically impossible or that data just isn't out there, then we shouldn't do marketing research because we're never going to be able to obtain that data in the first place. So if it can't be obtained, there's no point in doing marketing research. So the next thing we're going to talk about is the feasibility of marketing research, and this has to do with the cost of doing marketing research and why it's so important to consider time in making marketing research decisions. We have a limited amount of time to be able to conduct our research, analyze that data, and then present that information to our bosses. And so when thinking about that, we have to select different methods of conducting our research to be able to get the most valuable information in the shortest amount of time possible. So one of the ways is that surveys are really the most popular marketing research tool. They're very inexpensive and they have a quick turnaround. And the reason why they have a quick turnaround is because many times today we're looking at these online panels. And that's exactly what we're going to be using for our course project. The online panel we will be using is MTurk, Amazon Mechanical Turk, and usually you can get your data back in about 2 hours. So if it's easy to collect that data, then we can get the data, analyze it, and get out the information in a very quick time frame. But we have to consider that there's this time availability of information relationship where surveys are not always going to be the most viable or the most feasible option for us. We may want to, or we may need secondary data, we may need to collect interview data, so there's many different things that we have to consider as far as the method that we're going to be using. So if you think about secondary data, which this is data that is available online or in some type of form or fashion to us, external to really the firm. This is information that you can find, and if there are a lot of secondary data available, we can go look online for many different sources of secondary data. But how much time will it take us to actually collect that secondary data? And then we also have to consider our time-skills relationship. So this course is going to give you a really basic but somewhat broad understanding of marketing research. You'll have some basic skills on how to analyze data, but will you have all the necessary skills? That's pretty unlikely because there's so much different analysis techniques that we won't be able to cover in this course because they're more advanced than what we can cover here. So do you or someone in your company know how to analyze the data? That will be pretty important because even though you're getting the basic understanding here, there are some more advanced analysis techniques that we won't be able to cover. The last thing we're going to talk about today is marketing research in the digital age. And really what I want you to understand is that there's so many methods out there today that are available for us to acquire data and target and retargeting individuals. What this has to do with is hyper-personalization and the fact that we don't have to use a one-size-fits-all approach anymore, especially with being able to target customers online. And that's because so many people, the majority of the people in the world, are online today. And with that, that allows us to target and retarget based on your prior purchase history, your browsing history, and you have probably experienced this if you've been online looking at some products and then you go to one of your social media channels and then you're being bombarded with different ads on similar products or the same type of product that you were just looking at online. So we've probably all experienced this on social media, and the reason why this is because marketing research is being conducted pretty much in real time as you are looking online and browsing the internet. That is it for Chapter 1. Next time we will cover Chapter 2, Harnessing Big Data into Better Decisions. If you have any questions about Chapter 1, feel free to email me at kt.manus@ttu.edu. Thank you. Bye-bye.